Hey guys, it's Jasmine. It's been 6 years and I'm back. I miss you all so much. I cannot wait to get into season one, episode one of The Testament. If you're here for the first time, I'm Jasmine and I do YouTube reviews and just show analysis. And I usually do a very deep dive. So, welcome. And if you're coming back after all these years, I just want to say be patient because I'm still trying to figure out how all of my equipment works. So, yeah, let's get started. It opens up at the Mackenzie's estate, and I was shook from the beginning. This shot of their home took my breath away with the horses and the land and just a beautiful landscape. So it sets the stage with who we're dealing with and that the Mackenzies are elite. We are seeing the world through Agnes's eyes and sort of doing her morning routine with her. The dollhouse, which is a replica of the Mackenzie home, is at the very center of her room, which is symbolic that the aspirations of becoming a wife and a mother should be at the center of her life. This is not just a toy, this is a tool, a physical representation of her future, and it keeps this message at the forefront of her mind. When she pulls out the drawer with her dolls in them, look at the way the dolls are placed. These dolls are arranged by rank. They go from commander down to handmaid, everyone arranged in order of their significance. They could have just been all placed in a loose drawer, but they have carved slots, indicating that everyone has a specific place and role in the household. Agnes is missing the handmaid doll because the house doesn't have any handmaids, and this is because they already have a child of their own. But what's truly interesting is the fact that even though they don't have one, they still could have given her the doll to use. But they wouldn't because dolls are not toys used for pretend. They are tools used to model your current reality. And in Agnes's reality, she has no reason to have or role play with a handmaid. Let me take this a little deeper. Agnes's mother, June, was a handmaid and the very thing that's missing in that drawer. A double meaning that not only is the handmaid missing from the carved slot, but June is carved out of her daughter's life. The colors in the room reflect her maturing process. It's mostly pink because you start off in the color pink as a girl in Gilead, along with some of her childhood toys. So it's a very innocent place. There are small hints of plum, like this ottoman, probably a more recent addition since she's a plum girl now. And there is this pink wooded wallpaper that really reflects the vast landscape of their home. There's also a theme of horses around the house and is reflected here in this wall decor. I would infer that Paula, who has a love of riding, added this to her room. But nothing seems to reflect a sense of Agnes's personal style. Things in this room have been selected for her, making the room more of a decorated cage. My first impression of Paula is her calm but chilling demeanor. She can cut you with a look and never have to raise her voice. She's poised and passively venomous, never being remotely mean, but always calculating and seems to put on airs. I feel like she has nothing to do and just resorts to being in a bad mood because she resents her lifestyle, like giving Rosa the unnecessary task of dusting the ceilings. She seems to run a tight ship in her home. Agnes knocks over some blueberries on the table, and her and Rosa have like a little cute kiki about it. And then Paula comes in and sees the blueberries and gives Rosa the most chilling look. Like, girl, over three blueberries. What's unclear to me is what Paula's beef is with Agnes, but I think we'll learn more as the story goes on. Agnes is very connected to the Marthas, especially Rosa. She takes on like a big sister role for her, giving her sweets, exchanging memories about the world before, listening to Agnes's worries. Rosa even walks her out to the bus, which is like what a mother or older sister would do to make sure you get to school safely. It's clear that Agnes feels safe with her, especially because Rosa knew Agnes's other mom who passed away, so she has someone who shares those memories and grief with. Scylla, whose tongue was removed, says a lot through her expressions. Agnes theorizes that her tongue was taken for blasphemy, but I think it was something deeper. Zilla reacts sadly to how Paula treats Agnes, and she looks despondent when Agnes talks about Becca and where she'll live when she's married. It's clear that Zilla sympathizes with these girls and feels a sense of hopelessness for them. This plum bus, this thing is heavily guarded, escorted, and checked, okay? The windows are covered in curtains so you can't even see the outside. It's definitely a form of control to prevent any guards from flirting with them or vice versa, to keep them at a distance so that no personal connections can be made. The bus has the school symbol on it. It looks like a uterus to me with some sort of blooming fallopian tubes. This subconsciously reiterates their life's purpose, which is to procreate. Before they get to school, they make a little pit stop at a hanging. Mind you, these girls were just playing tag 5 seconds ago, and now they go from having an innocent, fun moment to seeing death. It's a way to desensitize them to death and murder, and also just a scare tactic like get your act together before you go into school. Shunammite raises her hand to answer the question about what these guys committed, like the action they committed. It's an assault. We all can fill in the blank, and she raises her hand so fast, like she was asked, "What's the capital of Maine?" It's completely irrelevant that these people are hanging right in front of them because there's no justice system. Gilead runs on strictly Old Testament vibes. And to be shown this before arriving at school, it's a casual encounter, a pit stop of violence, a viewing at a museum of casual murder. And the girls view them with countenance instead of contempt. When we pan over the school, it's got the uterus flag waving high and bold and proud, and the building is just immaculate. There's also this uterus shaped flower bed in the front, the same symbol. And look at these little white buses. I'm guessing those are for the pinks. When Agnes arrives at school, she gets to talk to her bestie, Becca. Can I just say I love getting to know all of the girls, and I really hope they get into each of their lives. Agnes explains that they aren't supposed to have best friends because it leads to disobedience and immorality. But it's just another way to keep them all singular. Having a strong bond with someone could mean retaliation, defiance, and a unification of resistance because people are more powerful in groups. And so, to make sure they don't form any strong bonds, they say it contributes to immorality. They talk about Becca being a green and having a dress fitting, which gives us a small peek into what's involved in moving into becoming a green. Becca has a pin to distinguish her from the other girls, so although she isn't green yet, she still is set apart and regarded in a way. Aunt Vidala is a trip, okay? She is this generation's Aunt Lydia. She is strict, no nonsense, and she runs the show. She seems bothered by Joy. When the girls are playing tag, she is deeply bothered by them having fun. She also seems like she can sing on the low. I don't know why, but her voice just seems like she can sing. I don't know. I noticed that the aunts address the girls as friends. Anytime they speak to them as a group, they say friends and then XYZ, which seems pretty informal, but maybe it helps them trust the ants. So then we enter the school. Now, when they first go inside, the girls are making offerings to Aunt Lydia, her statue, which makes it seem like she's dead, but we learn later on she's very much alive. It is so weird that they are worshiping her while she's still alive and working at the school. I think it's a way to keep Aunt Lydia as godlike in their eyes, and she is probably the only aunt who's been there since day one of Gilead. Her picture is also in the fiber arts room, like she's the president or something. It is so funny. Also, that statue is in the way. When they hang up their coats, this is the first glimpse we get of the Pearl Girls. Look at the shot of them in their prayer circle. The white, of course, helps them stand out, but it symbolizes them being wiped clean of their past lives and starting fresh in Gilead. There's also a tapestry with the blooming tree in the middle. It has people in white robes at the bottom, then plum in the middle, and then green up top, symbolizing the journey that they will be on throughout their young years. It may also be a foreshadowing of the ceremony that happens in later episodes. They're all sitting on a green tile floor with pillows on that bench that have a combination of pink, plum, and green colors, further representing the different stages of their development. Then we meet Daisy, a Pearl girl who Aunt Lydia wants Agnes to take under her wing. I was definitely skeptical if Aunt Lydia was in on this whole plot or was it by coincidence. She tells Agnes she's been watching her for a while, and we all know what she really means by that. Daisy looks like that painting of the girl with the pearl earring. I wonder if that was a coincidence or did they intend for that to happen? She has a very bespoke essence to her, and I don't care what anybody says, that pearl on their ear is so cute. But it is reminiscent to the tag that were on the handmaids. Pearls are being given the gentle parenting that they were not tolerating with the handmaids back in the day. They say that most of them were runaways, and we know the handmaids would have gotten that smack down. But this time, they are taking a more approachable method to those who have been deemed unclean. Agnes gives Pearl a tour of the school, and her disposition is very mild, straightforward, because she doesn't fully trust Daisy, who is a Pearl. So she's not trying to connect with her. She's just fulfilling a duty that Aunt Lydia gave her. I love this shot of one of the classroom doors with that same uterus symbol on it. As the tour goes on, you realize the scope of the girls' education. It encompasses domestication and the arts, with classes like fiber arts, decorating, which is a course, Joe, culinary arts, music. They aren't taught history or to read or mathematics. Everything they are taught limits their understanding of the world and subjects them to the prison of their lives. Lunch is so entertaining because Aunt Vidala tells them they can now socialize, but it's something that they aren't allowed to do usually. Every time they talk too much, they're yelled at or they're smacked. Look at what they have for lunch: salad, milk, and chicken. It's definitely a healthy diet. At the lunch table, the girls are trying to get a feel of Daisy. And honestly, if you're just watching it for the first episode without the other ones, Daisy is so convincing in her devotion to Gilead. And I love Tilda. She is so cute. She wants to know what Canada is like. And Daisy is basically like, I hope Canada dies. And she gives Daisy this look like, girl, that is not what I wanted to know. I wanted the tea, and you gave Bible verse. Aunt Este is so excited about punishing this man who's accused of sexual sin. I think it's such a fascinating choice for them to punish him in the cafeteria and after they had lunch. But this isn't going to ruin their stomachs. Instead, this is how they release emotion and built up anger. These judgments are their time to let go and release. Spending all day standing up straight, barely able to converse, always stiff, regulated, monitored, and judged, but not at these reckonings. Becca, who seems to be tortured by her new green obligations, is the first to scream by his hand, and she scared me when that happened, indicating that she couldn't wait to release some sort of emotion behind the pressure she'd been recently feeling. Cutting off his hand was their way of defiance and pushing up against all the pressure. Meanwhile, Daisy is looking at them like, what in the world? Look at her face right there. I literally laughed out loud when she cursed after seeing that man's hand get cut off. I was like, finally, a normal reaction. And after apologizing to Agnes and saying she has to confess, Agnes offers sympathy for her and even extends her sacred pinky swear that she only does with Becca. This tells you something about Agnes. She has empathy for people and she doesn't resort to backstabbing, especially when peer pressured by her friends. She has a strong sense of self and seems to be drawn towards connection with others. And when Daisy looks at Agnes and she's like, what was that? And Agnes is literally like, girl, it's a Wednesday. She's literally unfazed. But think about it, there's no other way they can release any sort of tension or aggression. They don't play sports, they're not allowed to listen to music. This is the only thing that I feel like gives them relief. That night, when the Pearl girls are sleeping and Aunt Lydia is watching over them, it's sort of a playback to when all the handmaids used to be in that one room when things first started in Gilead. It's almost like she has a new group to train and develop before they move on to the next level, just as she did with the handmaids. This is when we learn more about Daisy and that she is part of some kind of resistance. She turns her hidden radio to the Radio Free Boston channel to listen to encrypted messages, and then she listens to music and reminisces about her past life. And honestly, when she was on that skateboard, I felt a breath of relief because I didn't realize how immersed we were in Gilead for the entire episode. So hopping into the new world was just freeing. I didn't realize how long we were in the absence of colors until this flashback, and I felt so relieved, like I could just breathe. This is also when we see June and realize, oh, okay, this is more than what it seems. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will be posting episodes 2 deep dive soon, and I'll try to work on some intro music like I had last time. Please subscribe. It would mean the world to me. And like this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.